Hello, I am Damonous. Thanks for joining again, and please remember to subscribe. I wanted to talk in this video about why would a Christian support Donald Trump? Probably a long overdue question. A lot of people maybe needed to give a better answer for this during the election, and even now post-election, so I'm going to try and take a hand at this. This is interesting. This is new. This is something I haven't seen before, and I don't remember other presidents actually stating this. At the RNC in the summer, and this is on politifact.com, and they actually ranked this as true. Let's bring this down. True. So, Donald Trump basically said that an amendment pushed by Lyndon Johnson many years ago threatens religious institutions with a loss of their tax-exempt status. They openly advocate their political views. Their voice has been taken away. I'm going to work very hard to repeal that language and to protect free speech for all Americans. Anyone who's exposed a bit to truth movements and or Mon Pa style churches know that this is a big deal. This is what's called the 501c clause in the tax code. And it basically says that if you are going to be tax-free, you have to watch how much you politic. So this is a big one. This would open up and allow our churches to be churches again. And as in a previous video I shared, America was never meant to be a religious, free governing body. So another thing that I think really impacted me, and still does, is this statement. This was on August 12th, and Trump was speaking to a group of evangelicals, and he said this. Just see a little bit of this.
Whatever you can do, I would appreciate it. I say pray for me, I pray for you. But I want to just say that whatever you can do, this will be an election that will go down in the history books,
and we know that's true, right? That it did go down in the history books. But I like the sentiment, and just the way it's said. It's not said with grandeur. He's basically just saying, hey, please pray for me, I pray for you. This is a nice piece of information. I don't know if everyone knows, everyone saw, there's so much negative publicity on Trump and everything, and Hillary, everyone, right? But, I guess George W. Bush didn't drink alcohol either, but Trump has never drank alcohol. And this is because he lost a dear brother way back to alcoholism. And he said, this is common. I've never understood why people don't go after the alcohol companies like they did the tobacco companies. Alcohol is a much worse problem than cigarettes. So, this is an interesting trait from someone so connected to everything, so much a front of party, a center of partying and getting people together to actually abstain from alcohol. That's a very interesting thing. Mostly, to most Christians, I think this is the big issue. This is the hot button. Trump, I'll appoint Supreme Court justices to overturn Roe versus Wade. Now, this is the title, obviously, of this article from CNBC. Trump says, I am pro-life. And he says, if it were overturned by pro-life judges, it would go back to the individual states the way it was before. And he's basically saying, as long as he's able to appoint pro-life judges, that will happen automatically, in my opinion. So this is another good thing. Let's look at the type of people that he surrounded himself with, right? And that was actually one of his big claims, that, hey, I'm going to get good people around me. And Ben Carson was his first big supporter, right? They went after each other in the political primaries, but then Trump reached out a hand to this guy and got him on board. And in the RNC, Ben Carson basically connected Hillary Clinton to Lucifer via who she did a thesis on, a political theologist who did a named Saul Alinsky did a book, very well popularized book, called Rules for Radicals. And this is interesting. So this is Snopes, right? So this is the other side of the issue, right? You can have these fact-checking sites, but even these fact-checking sites are really under a microscope. They're under their own filter, I should say. Not a microscope, but they're under their own filter. This is interesting. So what they're saying, hey, this is false, what Ben Carson said. Paul Alinsky wrote an epigraph describing the rebellious angel Lucifer as the first radical known to man in his book, Rules for Radicals. What's false? Alinsky dedicated rules to radicals to Lucifer. So this is really semantics, right? So, and I'm going to show this to you. So this is interesting because this guy gives this, what we're going to see is a dedication. But this here, they're saying, hey, but while it's true that one of 3 epigraphs on an introductory page, not a dedication page, of Rules for Radicals characterizes Lucifer as the first radical known to man who rebelled against the establishment and gained a kingdom for his own. Let's take a look at the word epigraph, right? It's kind of a bizarre word to use. An inscription, especially on a building, statue, or the like. And a posit quotation at the beginning of a book, chapter, etc. The best way to look this up is you do a synonym on the thesaurus.com of what an epigraph is. An epigraph is an elegy, a eulogy, a legend, a memorial, a monument, a commemoration. So if it's a commemoration, then it's a dedication. So let's put things together. Let's put it in focus. So Trump managed to snag, before anyone else did, right? He managed to snag Ben Carson on his side. And I think that's a great catch. Let's look at some other things that people say, hey, this guy's just, you can't. How can you call this guy a Christian? How many wives has Donald Trump had? If elected, Trump would be the second divorced president. Interesting note, it is Ronald Reagan who is the other divorced president. Now, I'll let you read this article. I'm not going to go into the dirty history. I think most people are aware that he had multiple marriages and that there was adultery involved. And I'm not trying to make it look like that's not a big thing. But when I'm leading to something else here. The other thing that came out big was, the groping controversy with Billy Bush and the statements he made on a closed mic, or I should say an unintended mic. Let's look at this because, the big claim was made that he did so wrong, but Trump actually did apologize for that. I think it's funny that, we look at things and Hillary didn't apologize as any
person, nor pretended
for
to
her
be
email
someone
scandal.
that I'm not. I've said and done things I regret, and the words released today on this more than a decade-old video are one of them. Anyone who knows me knows these words don't reflect who I am. I said it, I was wrong, and I apologize.
So, he said it. He's wrong, he's apologizing. Doesn't mean you have to take the apology. But I just want to remind people, and this is where, right, we all tend to get on our high horses, that the foot of the cross, that the ground at the foot of the cross, as they say, is level. None of us are better than others. We've all sinned. So this is this is Matthew 19:8. And this is Jesus basically saying in red, right? But they said unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? And Jesus said, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her, which is put away, doth commit adultery. So I'm kind of basically just putting this in front of Americans who have some concept of Christianity. And then maybe for those who are curious. This is basically saying that so many of us in today's America are really adulterers. And along that route, I just kind of wanted to point us to Exodus 21. And this should be for most people a very common part of the Bible, a very well-known part of the Bible. It is the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee a graven image, any likeness of God. Thou shalt not bow down to others, to other gods. Thou shalt not make the name of the Lord thy God in vain. We say this all the time, especially as comedians are joking, right? We take the name of the Lord God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Whether you believe it is Sunday or Saturday, out of 7 days, there is a Sabbath day. And in today's world, not even just America, but we're 24/7, right? Honor thy father and mother, that thy days may be long on the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor their maidservant, nor anything else he owns. And I didn't mean to be tedious and go through the commandments here, but I wanted to illustrate a point that, even for me, I'm convicting myself with everything that I read here. Maybe not everything, right? But all of us really are. That's the whole point of Christ's sacrifice. We'll probably return to the subject in future videos, but I just kind of wanted to labor on this point a little. And here we have Matthew 5:17. All right, Matthew 5:17. And in here, this takes it one step further, because this is Jesus talking to people. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm come not to destroy, but to fulfill. So Jesus is saying he's not getting rid of the law. He is providing a way for the law to be fulfilled, and in a sacrifice, as we come to know after this point when he actually spoke, to fulfill the law. But it doesn't mean that we don't sin. It means that we're forgiven for sin. It's a different thing. I'll just end with one more little point in here is, again, it comes back to, if we're looking at Trump and saying, how can this guy with all these marriages and all this shame lead us? 27, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. So the Bible really gets to that. It gets to your core. And it actually says it's how you're thinking. It's not just what you're doing. So we cannot like this guy, and that's fine. My point in this video is just to tell us who we are and what we as Christians are accountable for.